Welcome to TERAFLORA Studio, where every small corner of your garden can bloom with life, color, and imagination. Imagine stepping into a space where ordinary objects transform into vessels of wonder, where broken pots, vintage teacups, rustic crates, and even old bicycle baskets are given new purpose, cradling flowers and shrubs that sway gently in the sunlight. In this serene world, every leaf, every blossom, and every ray of light tells a story of renewal, creativity, and quiet beauty. Today, we will explore ideas that can be recreated in your own backyard, balcony, or patio. These designs are not only visually stunning but also practical, allowing even the smallest spaces to flourish. From cascading hydrangeas spilling from terracotta shards to glowing golden spirea in clusters of recycled bottles, from hanging lanterns filled with vibrant succulents to pallet-framed privacy hedges. Each setup reflects the harmony of nature and imagination. Here, discarded or overlooked items become more than planters. They become storytellers, inviting us to pause, breathe, and appreciate the gentle rhythms of growth and transformation. This content has been carefully crafted with the help of AI, ensuring ideas are both inspiring and accessible while maintaining originality and attention to detail. Each suggestion has been thoughtfully designed so you can replicate it yourself. Enjoy the process of DIY and witness the quiet magic of your garden unfold. As you journey through these creative concepts, we invite you to stay connected with us. Click subscribe to TERAFLORA Studio and join a community that celebrates innovation, beauty, and mindful gardening. Let the stories of plants, textures, and colors inspire your own hands to craft spaces that are not only pleasing to the eye but also soothing to the soul. Step in, explore, and let your garden become a living canvas of imagination and peace. Have you ever looked at an old piece of furniture and wondered if it still had a story left to tell? The art of amati, tiru modificasi, observe, imitate, and then make it your own, comes alive beautifully in something as simple as a drawer. Imagine a forgotten drawer, its paint chipped and its handles loose, once part of a dresser that stood proudly in someone's bedroom. Instead of being discarded, it finds a new purpose, carrying not clothes or memories of the past, but blossoms that breathe fresh life into the present. Set that drawer in your yard and suddenly it becomes a stage. Marigolds burst in golden cheer from one side, while delicate petunias trail like soft ribbons from another. Herbs such as rosemary or mint peek out, adding not only fragrance but also utility for your kitchen. The contrast between aged wood and vibrant blooms tells a story of resilience. Beauty does not fade with time, it simply transforms. Practicality meets creativity here. Old drawers are naturally deep, offering just the right amount of space for roots to spread and thrive. Line the bottom with a bit of burlap or old cloth to keep the soil in place. Then fill it with rich compost. Because wood breathes, it helps regulate moisture, protecting your plants from excess water while keeping them cool during the day. Even if the drawer looks too worn, a splash of fresh paint in pastel or earthy tones can add charm without erasing its history. Each brushstroke becomes part of the design, blending the old with the new. The magic lies in its portability. You can move the drawer around, experimenting with corners of light and shade. Place it near a bench where you sip your morning tea, or by the entrance to greet guests with color. It doesn't demand a large yard. Even on a small balcony, a single flower box can make the space feel alive. And because drawers come in all shapes and sizes, you can stack them like tiers, creating a layered garden in miniature. More than decoration, this drawer carries a lesson. That what once seemed useless can bloom again. That in repurposing, we do not only save objects from waste, we discover new layers of beauty within our homes and within ourselves. And every time the blossoms open, they remind you, life always finds a way to grow again, even in unexpected places. Sometimes joy does not arrive with grandeur, but with the lightness of laughter carried in color. Picture a cluster of old glass bottles, some tall, some small, each with its own scratches and faded marks from years gone by. Once emptied and forgotten, they gather together again, this time not to hold wine or soda, but to cradle life. From their narrow necks rises the happy-faced potentilla, scattering tiny golden blooms that shine like miniature suns. There is something playful in the way these bottles catch the light. In the morning, when the sun leans low, their surfaces glimmer like jewels left on the ground. At noon, the yellow petals glow so brightly that they seem to set the glass alight. And by evening, the bottles hold the last warmth of the sunset, glowing softly as if remembering the day. The flowers, small yet abundant, laugh against the green of their leaves, a cheerful chorus that makes even the quietest corner feel alive. This design follows the spirit of Amati, Tiru Modificasi. Observe what others have done, learn from it, and then weave in your own voice. You might group bottles in one large cluster, or scatter them in smaller trios along a garden path. The effect is always charming, because the imperfections of the bottles, whether chipped edges or uneven shapes, become part of the beauty. They reflect light in different ways, magnifying the brightness of the blooms. Where one might see broken glass, another sees a stage for nature's celebration. Practical tips help bring this vision to life. Always wash and dry the bottles first, and if the necks are too narrow, gently cut the tops or choose small cuttings of potentilla that can thrive in limited soil. Adding pebbles at the base improves drainage, ensuring roots stay healthy. A mix of clear and colored glass creates depth. Green bottles cast a softer light, while clear bottles amplify brightness. And because potentilla is hardy, blooming from early summer into fall, you will have a long season of golden cheer without demanding care. What begins as waste becomes a memory in motion. Guests who visit your garden will pause, not because the bottles are expensive or polished, but because they are alive with character. Each bloom whispers that happiness is not found in abundance, but in how we choose to see the ordinary. In this cluster of glass and petals, laughter takes root. And you may find yourself smiling too, every time the yellow blossoms greet you in the light. Some objects carry whispers of the past, waiting patiently for a new chapter. A vintage teacup, once lifted daily to lips and laughter, may now sit forgotten at the back of a cupboard. Yet when paired with a miniature gardenia, it returns to life with quiet grace. This is the essence of Amati, Tiru Modificasi. Observe the charm of small vessels, imitate the pairing of plant and porcelain, and then modify it into a story uniquely your own. Imagine stepping into your garden or patio and seeing a row of teacups resting on a weathered wooden table. From each chipped rim rises glossy green foliage, polished like jade, and above them float gardenia blossoms, creamy white, soft as silk. Their fragrance so rich it lingers in the air like memory itself. Feels less like gardening and more like sitting down for tea with nature. The magic lies in intimacy. Unlike large planters that command attention, these tiny vessels invite you closer. You lean down to breathe in the perfume, and suddenly the world slows. The chipped porcelain no longer looks flawed. It becomes part of the narrative, proof that beauty is not erased by time, only transformed. Each cup holds not just soil and roots, but history, hands that once wrapped around it, conversations it once heard. Now, instead of collecting dust, it cradles new life. Practical tips make this poetic vision possible. Gardenias thrive in slightly acidic soil, so filling each cup with a light potting mix blended with peat ensures healthy growth. Because teacups have no drainage holes, line the bottom with small pebbles to prevent water from pooling. Place them where morning light can touch the leaves, but afternoon shade keeps them cool. A gentle misting once or twice a week helps keep their glossy leaves polished. There's flexibility too. 1 or 2 teacups on a windowsill can transform a kitchen into a fragrant corner, while a clustered arrangement outdoors can create a table centerpiece that feels both rustic and elegant. You can mix and match patterns. Blue china beside plain white porcelain, faded roses beside gold-rimmed cups. Each combination telling a different story. And as the gardenia blossoms open, releasing their sweet perfume, you realize this isn't only about decoration. It is about slowing down, about savoring the small things, about remembering that even the smallest vessel can carry the richest gifts. With each bloom, the teacups whisper that elegance is not grandeur, but grace in the simplest forms. Sometimes the most overlooked objects carry the brightest potential. A worn-out tire, once rolling across highways and carrying the weight of journeys past, can be reborn as the frame for a living flame. With a splash of paint and a touch of imagination, it becomes more than rubber. It becomes a glowing circle of life. And within its embrace, the crimson pygmy barberry takes root, transforming a small yard into a stage where color burns without fire. Imagine walking through your garden and seeing this striking sight. A ring of painted rubber, bold in color, cradling a shrub whose leaves glow deep ruby red. In the morning, sunlight bounces off the painted surface and lights up the foliage, turning each leaf into a spark. In spring, tiny yellow flowers scatter like sparks along the branches, while autumn brings small glossy berries that look like jewels hidden among embers. The barberry stands proud, compact yet radiant, reminding us that beauty can be fierce even in the smallest of forms. This design embodies amati, tiru, modificasi. The idea may begin with the simple act of recycling a tire, yet each gardener adds their own twist. Some choose pastel shades to soften the look, while others go bold with fiery red or sunny yellow. The tire itself becomes both frame and contrast, its solid, round shape grounding the wild elegance of the plant. What was once destined for landfill now becomes the heart of a storybook garden. Practical care is simple but rewarding. Drill a few holes in the bottom of the tire for drainage, then fill it with well-draining soil. Crimson pygmy barberry thrives in full sun, where its colors grow deepest and most dramatic. Though it carries thorns, they are not cruel, only protective, ensuring the plant's vibrancy remains untouchable. This makes it an excellent choice for a border near a gate or pathway, where it can stand as both ornament and gentle guardian. Beyond its beauty, the tire planter whispers a lesson. Transformation does not erase history, it frames it. The scratches and imperfections of the tire, the resilience of the barberry, together tell a tale of endurance and renewal. And as the seasons turn, each shift in leaf and berry reminds us that small spaces can hold immense drama. In this glowing ring, nature and discard meet, proving that even in the most unexpected vessels, fire can bloom again. There are plants that offer a fleeting show, and there are those that write poetry across the seasons. The dwarf fothergilla belongs to the latter, unfolding its story slowly, like a book that never truly ends. Paired with the rustic elegance of driftwood edging, it becomes not just a plant, but a seasonal companion, changing, whispering, and reminding us that beauty is a rhythm, not a moment. In spring, the fothergilla greets you with delicate white bottlebrush flowers, soft and fuzzy, glowing like tiny candles among tender blue-green leaves. By summer, its foliage deepens into calm shades, steady and grounding. Come autumn, the real spectacle begins. The leaves ignite with fiery hues of orange, scarlet, and gold, as though the plant has gathered every sunset of the year and set them aflame at once. Even in winter, when the branches stand bare, the memory of its colors lingers in the twisted frames of driftwood that cradle it. The driftwood edging is more than decoration. It tells its own story. Each branch carries the memory of rivers and tides, bleached and shaped by time, smoothed by currents and winds. Arranged around the shrub, they serve as anchors, grounding the plant in a narrative of both land and water. Together, plant and wood create a dialogue of resilience. One grows and changes, the other endures and remembers. This design invites us into the spirit of amati, tiru, modificasi. Observe how driftwood naturally curves and twists, imitate the way it can frame and protect, and then modify it to fit your own corner of soil. No two pieces of driftwood are alike, which means every border becomes a one-of-a-kind frame. Whether you place them in a circular embrace or a loose, meandering edge, the effect always feels organic, as if nature itself had designed the border. Practical tips make this pairing thrive. Fothergilla prefers slightly acidic soil and partial to full sun. Driftwood, being porous and weathered, blends naturally into the garden bed, requiring little maintenance beyond occasional repositioning. Add moss or smooth stones around the edges to soften transitions and enhance the rustic mood. What emerges is a tableau that changes with the months, ensuring your garden never feels static. It's not about grandeur, but about transformation, about witnessing how beauty carries itself differently through each season. And in this rhythm, one finds comfort that change, though inevitable, can always be beautiful. Sometimes beauty is most powerful when it emerges from brokenness. A terracotta pot, once whole and perfect, falls and shatters. Yet instead of being discarded, its cracks become the stage for new life. From its broken mouth spills soil and blooms of hydrangea, cascading downward like a fountain of color. This is not merely gardening. It is poetry in clay and petals. The lime hydrangea begins its journey in soft green, each petal fresh as spring's first breath. As the days pass, they blush with gentle pink, as though time itself paints them with tender hands. The contrast is striking. Fragile blossoms framed by jagged clay edges. Moss clings to the cracks, softening scars, reminding us that imperfections are not flaws, but frames for transformation. Imagine this broken pot placed near a pathway, where visitors pause to admire its quiet drama. From above, the flowers spill like a waterfall, drawing the eye downward before lifting it outward again. It feels accidental yet deliberate, a scene that could have happened by chance, yet speaks of thoughtful design. In the smallest corner, it creates a storybook moment, a reminder that beauty often grows where we least expect it. The principle of amati, tiru, modificasi shines here. Observe how others arrange broken pots as natural cascades. Imitate the layering of soil and plants, and then modify it with your own vision, perhaps stacking shards to create levels, or mixing hydrangea with trailing ivy for a richer effect. Every crack is unique, and every cascade tells a different story. Practical tips make the idea thrive. Place the pot on its side and secure it with stones so it stays steady. Begin filling soil from the base upward, planting hydrangea close to the opening so the blooms naturally spill outward. Smaller ground covers or creeping plants can be added to fill the gaps, enhancing the illusion of a living waterfall. With enough sunlight and water, the blooms will flourish, shifting colors through the seasons and keeping the cascade alive year after year. This broken pot whispers a lesson beyond the garden, that what is cracked can still cradle beauty, that what has fallen can rise again, transformed, and that sometimes the most breathtaking displays are not polished or perfect, but born of resilience. Each bloom spilling over the edge carries a message. Renewal is always possible, even in pieces. There is a kind of beauty that does not demand attention but holds it quietly, like a steady heartbeat. In a rock garden, where stones lie with the weight of centuries, the dwarf mugo pine takes its place as a living sculpture. Low and rounded, its dark evergreen needles weave a cushion of resilience, whispering constancy through seasons of sun and frost. Around it, scraps of rusted metal, once dismissed as junk, become unexpected accents, echoing the pine's strength with their weathered endurance. The harmony here is not polished or fragile. It is raw, rugged, and timeless. Rocks hold their silent weight, rough and grounded. Moss spreads in green veils, softening sharp edges and binding stone to soil. And among them lie pieces of scrap metal, old plates, worn bolts, fragments of iron, that no longer serve machines but now serve memory. Their rusted textures resonate with the pine's deep green needles, creating a contrast that feels both industrial and organic, strength meeting silence. This is the essence of amati, tiru, modificasi. Observe how rock gardens balance permanence and simplicity, imitate their arrangement of stone and shrub, and then modify it by weaving in your own story, perhaps a relic from a family workshop, or metal fragments found by chance. The addition of scrap metal transforms the garden from simple to symbolic, telling a tale of endurance and renewal. Practicality makes this design rewarding. Mugo pine is hardy, thriving in well-drained soil and full sun. Its compact growth makes it ideal for small spaces, anchoring the garden with stability. Surround it with gravel or pebbles to prevent weeds and to highlight its form. When adding scrap metal, position pieces thoughtfully so they look intentional, not accidental. A rusty plate leaning against a stone, a bolt half buried in gravel, or a curved piece of iron catching sunlight. Each detail adds depth without clutter. What emerges is more than a garden. It is a meditation. The pine does not dazzle with fleeting blooms. It comforts with endurance. The rocks do not move, but they frame stillness. The scrap metal does not shine, but it speaks of history. Together, they create a corner where permanence feels peaceful, not heavy. A space that invites you to pause, breathe, and remember that beauty is not only in what grows or glitters, but also in what endures, steady and true. Some flowers do more than bloom, they awaken memory. The dwarf Korean lilac, compact yet generous, offers clusters of lavender blossoms whose fragrance clings not only to the air but to the soul. When these shrubs rise from recycled ceramic pots, each vessel chipped or mismatched, the result is not just a planter but a story stitched together from fragments of the past. Picture a row of ceramic pots gathered along a sunlit garden path. No two are the same. One carries faded blue patterns, another bears cracks softened by moss, while yet another wears stains of kitchens long gone. Within each, a lilac plant blooms, its heart-shaped leaves cradling clusters of blossoms in soft violet. Together they create a living mosaic, imperfections turned into frames, flowers turned into memories. This design is a perfect example of amati, tiru, modificasi. Observe how discarded vessels gain new dignity. Imitate their use as planters, and then modify the idea by weaving in your own narrative. Perhaps a teapot missing its lid, a bowl with a broken rim, or a ceramic jug once used for water. All can become vessels of bloom. In their differences lies their charm, a reminder that beauty is richer when it carries history. Practical care enhances the poetry. Lilacs prefer well-drained soil and thrive in full sun, where their fragrance grows strongest. Ceramic, though heavy, holds moisture well, making it ideal for shrubs that enjoy steady hydration. Because most recycled pots lack drainage holes, line the bottom with pebbles before adding soil to protect roots. Position the pots in places where light shifts through the day, allowing both blossoms and glaze to catch the sun in changing ways. Beyond aesthetics, the pairing carries intimacy. The scent of lilac is not loud but deep, stirring nostalgia of gardens once visited or evenings long gone. As the breeze moves through, the perfume lingers, tying memory to moment. Guests who pass along the path will pause, not because the pots are flawless, but because the blooms feel timeless in their fragile containers. What was once ordinary crockery now holds living poetry. Each bloom whispers of renewal, each chip speaks of endurance, and together they remind us that elegance does not require perfection. Sometimes beauty lies not in what is new, but in what we choose to see anew. And with every season's blossoms, the recycled ceramic pot lilac bloom proves that the past can cradle fragrance, and the present can carry it forward. There are gardens that whisper and gardens that sing, and the golden spirea belongs to the latter. Its leaves shine like drops of sunlight frozen in green, glowing even on cloudy days. When planted in a cluster of recycled bottles, it creates a scene both playful and profound. Glass reflecting light, foliage radiating warmth, blossoms scattering joy. What was once waste becomes a prism of color, turning the smallest yard into a stage of brilliance. Picture it, a group of bottles gathered at the base of a wall. Some tall, some short, their imperfections visible, scratches, worn edges, uneven shapes. Yet instead of hiding their flaws, they magnify them, amplifying the beauty they now cradle. From their necks, spirea shrubs burst into golden foliage, shimmering under daylight like a flame that never fades. In summer, Clusters of soft pink blossoms scatter across the leaves like confetti at a celebration. Each time the light shifts, the bottles glimmer differently, as though the garden itself were humming a song. This design captures the heart of amati, tiru, modificasi. The idea is simple, reuse bottles, but the interpretation is endless. You might choose clear bottles to maximize brightness, or green-tinted glass to soften the glow. Arrange them in clusters for bold impact or line them along a pathway for subtle charm. Each variation tells a new story, shaped by your hands and vision. Practicality grounds the poetry. Wash and dry bottles thoroughly before use, filling them with a layer of pebbles for drainage. Because bottlenecks are narrow, smaller cuttings of spirea work best, or you can cut the tops of bottles with care to create wider openings. Place them where sunlight can reach their golden foliage, as this is what makes the leaves glow brightest. With minimal maintenance, the spirea rewards you with steady growth and seasonal blossoms. What emerges is more than just decoration. It is a reminder that joy can be made from fragments, that light shines brightest through broken places. Guests who pass by will pause, caught not by grandeur but by a cluster of glass and gold that feels alive, personal, intimate. In the bottle cluster golden spirea glow, garden and glass conspire to turn waste into wonder, reminding us that brilliance is not about perfection. It is about finding ways for light to pass through. Sometimes beauty is not planted in the ground but suspended in the air, where it sways gently with the breeze and catches sunlight like a secret jewel. Old lanterns, once carrying flame to guide the night, can find new life as vessels of green. With succulents nestled inside their frames, they become hanging gardens of resilience, proof that even the smallest corners of space can bloom with magic. Imagine stepping into a backyard where lanterns dangle from tree branches or the beams of a pergola. Each one is different. Some round and ornate, others square and simple, all bearing the patina of time. Within their open panels, succulents thrive. Rosettes of echeveria glow in soft blues and purples. Jade plants stretch upward with glossy leaves, and delicate strings of pearls tumble downward like green waterfalls. The sunlight moves through the gaps, casting shifting patterns of light and shadow, turning each lantern into a living lantern of color. The charm of this idea rests in transformation. What once held fire now holds life. The lanterns, weathered and imperfect, are no less beautiful for their scars. Indeed, they are more so. And the succulents, hardy and forgiving, need little water, thriving in shallow soil where other plants might falter. Together they create an oasis that feels whimsical yet grounded, practical yet poetic. This design follows the rhythm of amati, tiru, modificasi. Observe how lanterns carry presence even without their light. Imitate the idea of filling them with soil and plants, and then modify it to your style. You might choose white painted lanterns for a shabby chic charm, or black wrought iron for a dramatic contrast. Some gardeners add fairy lights around the lanterns at night, so they glow twice, once with electricity, once with green life. To bring this vision to life, line the lantern base with a small layer of gravel for drainage, then add sandy soil ideal for succulents. Water sparingly, letting the soil dry fully between each drink. Because lanterns are portable, you can shift them easily, hanging them high for a floating effect or clustering them low at eye level for intimacy. The result is a hanging chorus of green, each lantern telling its own story of rebirth. They sway with the wind, shimmer with sunlight, and remind us that beauty does not always need roots in the ground. Sometimes it hangs, light and graceful, showing us that renewal can be found even in the air around us. Privacy in a garden does not always need stone walls or tall fences. Sometimes the gentlest boundary is also the most welcoming. Reclaimed wooden pallets, once rough and forgotten, can stand tall again, this time as frames for life. Within their embrace, the compact inkberry holly takes root, forming a dense hedge of glossy green leaves that shields and soothes, not with weight, but with presence. Picture a small backyard where pallets lean side by side, their surfaces weathered by years of work. Instead of hiding their imperfections, the moss that creeps along the wood softens them, turning flaws into features. From their base rises a hedge of inkberry holly, each shrub dense and steady, leaves polished like glass under sunlight. Season after season, the hedge remains evergreen, whispering stability. In autumn, small blackberries glisten like quiet jewels among the leaves, subtle yet striking. This design reflects the spirit of amati, tiru, modificasi. Observe how pallets, often discarded as waste, can frame and support growth. Imitate this by arranging them upright or in staggered layers. Then modify it into your own sanctuary, perhaps painting the pallets white for a softer touch, or leaving them rustic to blend with the earth. The hedge grows not as a wall of exclusion, but as a living veil that both protects and invites. Practical care is simple. Inkberry holly thrives in moist, well-drained soil and adapts well to both sun and shade. Because pallets allow for airflow, the hedge grows strong without suffocation. Adding gravel beneath keeps the base neat and prevents weeds. Over time, as the shrubs expand, they weave into one another, closing gaps and creating a seamless tapestry of green. The charm lies in how privacy feels redefined. Sitting on a bench nearby, you do not feel walled in, but embraced. The wooden pallets tell of journeys past, perhaps carrying goods across seas, while the holly hedge brings calm permanence to the present. It becomes less about separation and more about connection. Between wood and leaf, past and present, shelter and openness. In this quiet corner, you find solitude not through barriers, but through nature's embrace. The pallet frame privacy holly hedge stands as proof that even the humblest materials can create sanctuaries, and that protection can be soft, living, and deeply beautiful. Some vessels are not born elegant, yet they hold a quiet dignity that deepens with time. A rusted metal barrel, dented from years of use, might look like nothing more than scrap. But when paired with the richness of nine bark, it becomes a cradle of contrast. Industrial strength meeting delicate bloom, ruggedness softening into grace. Imagine a corner of your garden where such a barrel stands. Its weathered surface tells stories of labor and years gone by, yet from its wide mouth rises a shrub drenched in burgundy. The leaves, velvety and dark, glow like embers in the sun. When spring arrives, clusters of pale pink flowers spill over the foliage, their softness echoing against the barrel's harsh frame. It feels like a painting in contrasts. Strength and fragility, metal and bloom, memory and renewal. This idea follows amati, tiru, modificasi. Observe how a common utility object, once destined for discard, can be reborn as centerpiece. Imitate by repurposing barrels from old farms or workshops, filling them with soil and life. Then modify with your own touches, perhaps arranging several barrels together for a rustic grouping, or painting parts of the barrel while leaving rust as an accent. Each choice makes the planter uniquely yours. Practical tips ensure success. Nine bark is hardy, thriving in full sun and tolerating a variety of soils. Its compact growth makes it perfect for barrels, where the plant's round form can expand without overwhelming small spaces. To prepare the barrel, drill a few holes at the bottom for drainage. Add gravel or stones beneath the soil layer to prevent waterlogging. Over time, ivy or moss may creep along the barrel's sides, adding even more texture to the rustic look. The beauty of this pairing is not just in appearance, but in mood. Guests who pass will pause, not because the barrel shines, but because it feels grounded, authentic. The nine bark's deep colors create a sense of luxury, while the barrel anchors it in honesty. Together they speak of resilience, that even things once considered worn out can carry new life, and that beauty is often strongest when born of contrast. In the nine bark barrel rustic planter, every glance becomes a reminder that grace does not always come polished. Sometimes it comes with rust, with cracks, with a past that shows. And in that honesty lies its true charm. Sometimes inspiration comes from the most unexpected places. A bicycle, once used to carry people or groceries, can take on a new life in the garden. With its front basket filled with herbs, it becomes a miniature garden on wheels, a living testament to amati, tiru modificasi. Observe the charm of everyday objects, imitate their placement, then modify with your own creative twist. Picture this: a vintage bicycle leaning against a sunlit fence, its wicker basket brimming with basil, thyme, and rosemary. The green leaves glow in the morning light, some spilling gently over the basket's edge, soft shadows dancing across the worn frame. Every detail tells a story: the peeling paint of the bicycle, the woven texture of the basket, and the lively herbs thriving in unexpected space. Together, they create a scene that feels both nostalgic and alive. The beauty of this design lies in its combination of practicality and charm. Herbs like basil, thyme, and rosemary are hardy, thriving in shallow containers, and they offer both culinary delight and fragrant greenery. By planting in a basket, you elevate the herbs to eye level, making them accessible for cooking while adding a vertical element to small garden spaces. The bicycle itself anchors the arrangement, lending a playful, whimsical touch. Practical tips enhance longevity. Ensure the basket has drainage by lining it with a layer of stones or adding small holes. Choose a sunny spot for the bicycle so the herbs receive plenty of light. Water moderately. Herbs prefer slightly drier conditions, and rotate the bicycle occasionally if placed in partial shade to ensure even sunlight exposure. You can also attach multiple baskets to the handlebars or rear rack to expand your herb garden vertically. Beyond utility, this planter brings charm. Guests passing by will notice not just the greenery, but the story it tells of creativity, resourcefulness, and the ability to see potential in objects long forgotten. The gentle sway of herbs in the breeze and the rustic frame of the bicycle create a scene that invites calm and curiosity. In the bicycle basket herb garden, growth is literal and metaphorical. Leaves flourish, scents mingle, and imagination blooms. It reminds us that even the simplest object can become a vessel of life, and that in gardens, as in life, the unexpected often carries the most beauty. Some corners of the garden invite attention quietly yet insistently. A simple wooden crate, weathered by sun and rain, can become a vessel of vibrancy when filled with a dwarf butterfly bush. It embodies the spirit of amati, tiru modificasi. Observe how ordinary objects can carry life. Imitate the pairing of crate and shrub, and then modify it to create your own living vignette. Imagine a backyard corner where a wooden crate sits on gravel, its rough-hewn surface softened by thyme and moss. From its soil rises a butterfly bush, its silver green leaves a subtle backdrop to clusters of purple blooms. In the morning light, butterflies drift from flower to flower, delicate wings painted by nature, moving in slow choreography. The crate frames the bush perfectly, offering structure while letting the plant's elegance shine. The charm of this design lies in its approachability. Crates are abundant, inexpensive, and sturdy. They can be stacked for height, lined with plastic or burlap for soil retention, and painted or left natural to suit any aesthetic. The butterfly bush, with its rich hue and flowing form, thrives in full sun and well-draining soil, attracting pollinators and filling the air with soft movement. Practical care is simple yet essential. Water moderately, allowing the soil to dry between watering, and prune lightly to maintain shape and encourage blooms. Gravel or small stones around the base enhance drainage and prevent weeds. Position the crate where it can be admired from multiple angles, perhaps near a pathway or seating area, so the movement of butterflies and flowers becomes part of the daily experience. Beyond practicality, this planter carries poetry. The weathered wood tells of resilience and history, while the butterfly bush introduces life, motion, and color. It reminds us that beauty does not require perfection or grandeur. Sometimes it thrives in humility and authenticity. Observing the delicate dance of butterflies among blooms framed by rustic wood evokes calm and connection, creating a scene both dynamic and serene. In the rustic crate butterfly bush planter, small interventions transform everyday objects into living art. The garden, once ordinary, becomes a tableau of motion, color, and sensory delight. It invites presence, observation, and gentle joy, showing that even the humblest materials can carry grace and life. Sometimes the smallest spaces reveal the most careful planning. A low, spreading blue star juniper, embraced by a mosaic of worn red bricks, transforms a simple path into a quiet sanctuary. The bricks, softened by age and moss, act not as a boundary but as a frame, highlighting the silvery needles of the juniper in soft contrast. This is the essence of Amati, Tiru, Modificasi. Observe the harmony of plant and stone, imitate the layering and textures, and then modify it to reflect your own garden story. Imagine walking along a curved path, gravel crunching lightly beneath your feet. The juniper spreads its cushiony foliage, brushing softly against your ankles, while the red bricks outline a delicate mosaic. Sunlight dances on the needles, their silver tones shifting with the angle of the day. It is a garden that whispers steadiness, patience, and quiet resilience, offering a moment of pause amidst the rush of life. The beauty of this design is in its subtlety. Junipers are hardy, evergreen, and compact, perfect for small yards or rock gardens. The brick border adds structure, guiding both plants and eyes, while irregular moss and gravel fill gaps naturally. No two bricks are identical, and no two needles reflect light in exactly the same way, giving the arrangement a natural, living rhythm. Practical care is simple yet rewarding. Blue star junipers thrive in well-drained soil and full sun, requiring minimal watering once established. Arrange the bricks slightly irregularly to mimic natural patterns, and leave small spaces for moss or ground cover plants to soften the edges. Seasonal changes shift the colors of surrounding foliage, enhancing the silver glow of the juniper and keeping the garden dynamic. Beyond practicalities, this composition carries meaning. It reminds us that strength can be quiet and beauty can be enduring. The combination of weathered bricks and evergreen needles creates a sense of permanence while allowing for natural imperfection. Each step along the path becomes a moment of reflection, where textures, colors, and scents merge into an intimate experience. In the brick-border juniper rock garden, attention to detail transforms simple materials into elegance. The juniper, the stones, and the bricks together craft a space that feels infinite, even within a small yard. It is a corner of tranquility, a place where resilience, beauty, and subtle storytelling converge naturally, inviting anyone who passes by to slow down, breathe, and appreciate the quiet art of the garden. As we reach the end of this journey through inspiring garden designs, remember that beauty often blooms where creativity meets care. Here at TERAFLORA Studio, we have explored how simple, everyday objects, broken pots, glass bottles, wooden crates, and vintage teacups, can be transformed into vessels of life. Each plant, each blossom, and each leaf tells a story of resilience and renewal, reminding us that even the smallest spaces can hold extraordinary magic. Take a moment to imagine your own garden, balcony, or patio, quietly breathing with colors and textures you have chosen with intention. Picture hydrangeas cascading from terracotta shards, golden spirea shimmering in recycled bottles, or succulents spilling gently from hanging lanterns. Each element invites calm observation, encouraging you to pause and find serenity in the rhythm of nature. Through these designs, gardening becomes more than a hobby. It becomes a mindful practice, a way to nurture life while nurturing your own soul. We hope this collection of ideas inspires you to bring your own creative visions to life. Remember, each project can be adapted to your space, your style, and your imagination. The joy of DIY lies not only in the finished garden but in the gentle, intentional process of creation. The careful placement of a plant, the subtle blending of textures, and the quiet observation of growth over time. If you enjoyed exploring these ideas, we warmly invite you to subscribe to TERAFLORA Studio. By joining our community, you will continue to discover thoughtful ways to turn everyday objects into living art, to nurture beauty in even the smallest corners, and to experience the calm, poetic rhythm of mindful gardening. Let your garden become a sanctuary, a canvas of imagination and peace, where every bloom whispers a story and every leaf holds a promise. Thank you for visiting TERAFLORA Studio, and may your spaces always flourish with life, creativity, and quiet joy.